That's not bloody bad! That's not bloody bad!
I was not expecting that at all.
It's not shredding or whatever.
Hello, welcome to Splintered Soul TV. My name's Pete. I'm here to interview
Sally Joe
and
Erika,
respectively the six-string violinist and voice of Splintered Soul. We're here with day 8 of the recording of Law, their debut album, I believe. Right, well, a few questions for you girls. Start with Sally.
Yes.
You're a well-travelled musician. You've played Australia and Bali and quite a lot of the rest of the world. But you've ended up in soggy old London playing for some bloke from Kent. Nice transition. How did you manage that?
I left Australia when I was about, I was still quite young when I left Australia and discovered the music scene in Bali. Yeah, I managed to put together a really good world music band, and we kind of travelled all over Asia and South Africa, Australia. We travelled a lot, and we'd kind of reached as high as we could get in Indonesia. We had 3 albums,
Nice.
but I always had this really deep passion for rock and heavy metal music. And I just, that whole time, even though I was doing what I loved and making a really good living from music, I just had this urge to play metal music, and it just wasn't the right place. There was no scene for over there. So I thought I'd give London a try. So I just packed everything up and came over here not knowing anyone or anything, and spent a lot of time in pubs and clubs around London until I met some musicians, and eventually I got introduced to Chris, and here I am.
Here we are, debut album.
Yeah.
You're not actually recording until November though, are you?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And you're still having to learn stuff. I heard earlier Chris going, you don't know this one, learn this.
Yeah, and it's not easy stuff either.
Because there are times when I often feel the London scene's a little bit too sort of like, you've got to impress me or I'm not going to bother looking at you at all. Erika, obviously you're a natural Spanish speaker. Have you any plans, or is there any leeway in Splintered Soul's music to actually do a song in Spanish, for example?
wow, I never thought actually about that. I think it could be quite interesting, no? But I just never thought about doing a tune in Spanish with this band.
Cambyses has a very sort of almost an Indian
Yeah,
kind
like
of
a
flavour
southern
to it.
sound.
It's got a real nice bounce to it, and the
Yeah.
Spanish language has a really good bounce as well. I think it would. I'd like to hear something like that.
Yeah.
You know what, the curious thing is, like, I always been listening to music in English, like, and I feel more comfortable and better singing in English, but I recognize it would be a very nice idea. But I don't want to say anything, because
Not giving anything coy.
it's all about trying.
Yeah,
so
why not? I'll be there when you're singing it, don't
On
worry.
the air.
Describe your perfect night in or night out.
Definitely involves alcohol for me.
That's why I like you guys so much.
I
Rock
think
and
I'm
roll.
kind of the same. It's
Yeah.
not because of, yeah.
So basically just going out and getting drunk. Oh, I was hoping there'd be a bit more.
Or staying in and getting drunk.
Wow, you guys are about as imaginative as us. If you were to put on, say, a one-day festival or sort of like a weekend festival, if you were, and you had control of the bands that would play it, pick your top 5 bands that you'd have, but bearing in mind that you guys would be headlining the night.
Similar
One
to-
of those, maybe it's not similar like Splintered Soul, but I love Tool.
Excellent
So that will be my first choice, or one of the ones.
We have a whole weekend to fill, so we can have two. I think they.
So
Yeah.
I don't know even how to pronounce it. Textures.
They
Textures?
have tastes, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good choice.
Yeah, I love them as well.
Just has to be complimentary.
Complimentary. Well,
Epica.
Epica's a good choice. I like Epica.
I'd love to have Metallica just for fun, if that's okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because I love them.
Silverchair.
Yeah.
Complimentary.
Now, obviously, being a musician's great fun, but it's also really, really hard work. Do you ever, as not unattractive women, find there's more pressure heaped on you to look as good as you play, whereas blokes just sort of turn up looking a bit like me, you know, t-shirt, jeans, hair sort of run fingers through. Because you guys looked awesome a couple of times that I've seen you guys play. But is there a pressure to do that, or is that just a personal pride thing?
I don't think there's a pressure. I just really love getting dressed up and doing all the hair and makeup. I definitely don't feel pressure to do that. We just have fun with it, don't we?
Yeah. And actually, I think we kind of have the same taste, so it's not quite difficult. No, I want this. No, I want to wear that. You know, I love the corsets and being really like this. But then it's like,
can't breathe.
No way, out of the way. Something comfy and nice.
Yeah. No, I think it's good because then it's also more about the music rather than your appearance.
Right, Sally, you have effectively replaced what would be considered the traditional lead guitarist's position in Splintered Soul with your amazing 6-string Viper violin of awesome wickedness. How much static do you reckon you're going to get from the guitar playing community, and have you had any already?
Yeah, I mean a couple of times in the past where I had a rock band back in Bali, and we were playing lots of covers, kind of heavy metal covers, and guys would come along and say, "Oh, where's the lead guitarist?" And I'd say, "Well, hello," and they'd kind of this is before they'd hear me play, and they'd be like, "What the hell is a violinist doing playing the lead guitar part?" But then once kind of like do a bit of shredding, then
I was going to say, Vanessa May and Nigel Kennedy have made a pretty decent living out of it. I don't see why you can't.
Yeah, so but yeah, hopefully like lead guitarists in London or around the world would kind of see that I'm not trying to be a lead guitarist. I'd like to shred and kind of solo like a lead guitar, but I'm just trying to make the violin versatile, so I can still play the beautiful violin sound.
So if you could have a solo duel with a favourite guitar player, which guitar player do you reckon you'd choose? And you can't say Chris because that's cheating.
I would have to say, I mean, yeah, I'd have to say Slash, only because he's been my dream guy ever since I was a kid, so...
I think that would work really well. He'd probably ask you know what Slash is like.
Oh, I'd love to play on stage with him, yeah.
Cool. You with about 1 million others from people who'd love to go. Yes, that's what I wanted to ask. Now, obviously, I live with my vocalist, and I have to listen to hours of vocal warm-ups and practices every day. Do you have a similarly militant regime of irritating your housemates and turning up the band practice and 40 minutes of listening to you going la 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 la? I suppose it's the same, because I know a lot of guitar players who should warm up before they go on. I've only just recently started doing it myself, and I found that it's a lot easier. But 95% of the vocalists I know have no regime. They just turn up, and you think, God, you must be ruining your vocal cords.
Yeah.
And you definitely recommend it. It's definitely
yeah,
important.
of course. I mean, each people is a different world, so you might need half an hour, you might need an hour to be enough well prepared to go on stage or to sing. I recommend like minimum to be 1 hour warming up, so then you just don't damage yourself. You can do it as well without warm up, but then you are in the risk of be like.
With a vocalist, obviously, if you damage your instrument, you're out until you're better. Whereas we just restring.
Yeah, can't buy a new voice.
Yeah.
When you're in the studio, obviously, and live, you have the opportunity to either hold or mic stand the microphone. Mm-hmm. Now, I know from our experiences in the studio that Sarah is a mic holder when she's on stage, and she sings in front of the microphone on a stand. Are you any specific preference live difference to studio, or do you just go with whatever you're feeling?
Actually, it's more the last one, but normally, personally, when I start a gig or something, I just feel like if I have the mic and the stand, I'm gonna start like a bit more with my feet on the ground and giving everything, but then I just need to grab the mic, put the stand out, and until the end with the mic on the hand and just do whatever.
Go with the moment.
Yeah.
Get your rock on.
Yeah.
The last question is, beer?
Yes! Ah, now we're talking.
That concludes interview 1. Not that we endorse Kazrog, but they're rather nice. Thanks very much. That's been Soul TV interview 1.
Ow!
What are these? Nice.
Superb. I was just doing a sound test.